choosing the right lighting for a narrow hallway is up there with being one of the most difficult things. How on earth are you meant to light a dark, narrow space that's going to make it feel ambient, and it's essentially going to make the space feel lighter as well? So today I want to share with you some of the best hallway pendant lighting ideas specifically for narrow hallways and how you can choose the best lighting for your space. So before we get into some of my suggestions for some of the best hallway pendant lightings, how on earth do we start choosing the best types of light for a narrow hallway? Now, firstly, you need to consider layering your light sources. Now, typically a lot of people will look for just a pendant light in a space, but one pendant light is nowhere near adequate in lighting an entire dark hallway, especially if you have a really long hallway. Layering with different light sources is also going to enable you to have more control over your lighting, so especially in the evening, at the start of the day, and perhaps those times when you just need a little bit of light when you get home from a night out. Now, a pendant light is classed as general lighting, and this is generally light that lights an entire space, but you also need to think about accent lighting when you're lighting your dark, narrow hallway. Now, this could be using wall lights, spotlights, decorative lighting like table lamps, or even just a few candles that you might put on a console table. Now, the second key consideration I want you to think about before you choose lights is make sure you choose the right materials. If you don't choose the right material for your light, it might actually end up inhibiting the light source and making it even darker in your space, which is just not what you want to do. From my experience, both natural materials like rattan and also glass are some of the best materials for lighting a dark, narrow hallway because they don't inhibit light. And with rattan lights, you typically get in the material lots of holes, which means that light can disperse throughout them evenly, and it will provide more of a light source than a standard enamel painted light. Now, with glass lighting, what I love about it, especially if you've got light that may come into the hallway from other rooms, your glass lights are going to continue to disperse, reflect and retract light even when they're not in use, which is a real bonus if you have a dark, narrow hallway, because it's going to feel light in your hallway space even when the lights are switched off. Now, I also want you to think about scale. Now, if you have a small, narrow hallway, you might instantly think smaller. Now, a small hallway light is going to make your hallway feel even more inferior. It's actually going to become a focal feature because your eyes are going to be drawn to how small it is as soon as you enter your hallway space. So go larger if you can, but just be mindful of your drop. You don't want a light that is going to be touching your head or it's going to be at instant eye level as you step through. Now, as you can see, we have a rattan pendant light in our hallway. We only have, say, a 10cm drop from it, and it's just perfect for us. We haven't particularly got really high ceilings, but I would say that they're higher than sort of your standard ceilings. So just be mindful of that and do go bigger rather than going smaller. And if you're not sure, measure before you buy your light. And lastly, but a really important one that a lot of people don't consider when they buy lights, is you need to consider the colour temperature of your bulbs. Now, the colour temperature is measured with something called kelvins, and this is just on a scale of how the light colour looks in your interior once it's in use. Now, the hallway needs to be functional. It's a transitional space. You use it to maybe look in the mirror in the morning before you leave the house. You use it to tie your shoelaces, put your coat on, and you need good light when you get home from an evening out. So you need a light source that is going to be light enough to aid you with your tasks, but also not daylight bright, so it's so bright in the evenings that you can't get an ambient feeling in your hallway. For me, I would opt for a colour temperature on a bulb between 3500 to 4000 K. It's the perfect neutral white, which strikes a really nice balance between warm and cool hues of the bulb. It offers a clean and crisp appearance, and it might feel a little bit brighter than you'd like in a hallway, but for me, I'd always prefer having a slightly brighter bulb than something which is a warm orange, which makes the space feel dated, vintagey almost, and just like you can't see properly. And if you are concerned about it being too bright, this is why I'd always recommend having accent lighting such as a table lamp, maybe a floor lamp or wall lighting, so you can change between ambient levels. And obviously if you have a dimmer switch, it gives you almost complete flexibility over your lighting, so you can have it as bright as you want in the day but dim it down to lower levels in the evening when you want a bit more of a relaxing ambience. So now we've got into the nitty gritty of what to look for when choosing the perfect pendant lights for your dark narrow hallway. I'm going to share some of my favourite hallway pendant lights that I personally love, and they work really well in dark hallways. Now, coming at number one, we have a beautiful Rattan pendant light for a hallway. I love them. They bring such a softness to a dark hallway, whilst the nature of the material makes sure that the light can easily be diffused through the rattan. So if your hallway is really long, a ceiling track light can be a great option, as you can direct the spotlights and help to target those hard to reach areas. I've linked one here from Amazon, but there's loads of track lighting options in the market, and if you go for one that's black, it just brings a touch of modernity and definition to your hallway. Now, I've featured a trapeze glass lantern hallway pendant light here from Soho Lighting. I absolutely love their lights. They've got such a beautiful range of glass lights, so if you're not a huge fan of lanterns, there's loads of other options on there for glass lighting that you can use in your hallway as well. And you can look to go for an enamel light as well, but what I've featured here is a really beautiful light from Dunelm. The round shape brings such a lovely overall softness to a narrow hallway, whilst the contrast of the white and bamboo adds visual interest and brightens the space. Now, I've also featured here a free light ceiling fitting, which is from the range. What I like about this is it carries free light fittings, so it can feel a little bit more substantial and make a long narrow hallway feel a little bit lighter. So this modern hallway pendant light is finished in a beautiful black metal finish for definition and modernity. It's from Labradod as well, and it can be a good alternative to track lighting, as it's got 3 adjustable arms, so you can direct the light to the area you want, and it can be much more effective in a narrow hallway than just relying on one singular bulb to light the entire space. Now, this is another one from the Soho Lighting company. They have them in loads of different colours, but the matte black is my particular favourite, just because it does bring that definition and modernity to the hallway. So those are just a few of my favourite hallway pendant light ideas at the moment. I've linked in the comments below my full blog post, which has got loads more options for your narrow hallway. Hopefully you've seen something that you like the look of today, and hopefully my tips have helped you in choosing the right type of pendant light for your hallway in the future. I hope you enjoyed watching today's video. Please do give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching it, and if you need any other tips about lighting a narrow hallway, I'm a little bit of an expert with our very narrow terrace hallway, so please leave me a comment below and I'll come straight back to you, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.